Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Welcome back to the channel where America's team always takes center stage. If you're a lifelong fan with blue and silver running through your veins or just now getting swept up in the wave of excitement surrounding the Dallas Cowboys, you've landed in the right place. This is where passion meets purpose, where analysis meets adrenaline, and where fans unite for every headline, highlight, and heart-pounding development involving the star on the helmet. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications, because what we're diving into today is nothing short of seismic. A move that no one saw coming. A moment that could very well define the upcoming season and possibly the next chapter in Cowboys history. We're talking about a surprise move so stealthy, so perfectly timed, that even the most tapped-in NFL insiders were caught flat-footed. And now, the shockwaves are still rippling throughout the league. The Dallas Cowboys have done it again, but this time, in silence. There was no flashy build-up. No leaks. No sneak peeks. No Jerry Jones dramatic announcement from the back of his yacht. Instead, this move came like a lightning bolt out of a clear Texas sky. It was the kind of maneuver that you almost have to admire for its sheer execution. The front office played it like chess, moving silently behind the scenes, anticipating every countermove, and then striking with precision. When the dust finally settled and reporters scrambled for details, one name echoed through every locker room, newsroom, and fan forum across the nation: George Pickens. That's right. George Pickens is now a Dallas Cowboy. And if that name doesn't immediately send chills down your spine as a football fan, give it a minute, it will. Pickens, the dynamic young wide receiver who made waves with the Pittsburgh Steelers, is now wearing the star. And the reaction? Absolutely electric. Not just from Cowboys Nation, but from the entire NFL landscape. This wasn't just a simple trade. It was a message. A declaration. A reminder that the Cowboys aren't content with almost anymore. They want it all, and they want it now. Even ESPN's Stephen A. Smith, a man who's made a career out of poking fun at Dallas, couldn't hide the gravity of the moment. Practically shouting through his screen, he said, "With George Pickens in Dallas, that offense just went from good to elite overnight. I don't like it. I hate it because this makes the Cowboys real." That's the kind of statement that stops people in their tracks. That's the kind of impact Pickens is expected to make. Let's rewind for a moment and break this down. The offseason had not been kind to the Cowboys, at least, not in the eyes of critics. Questions swirled around Dak Prescott's future. Tony Pollard's departure left a hole in the backfield. The defense, while still a formidable unit, faced concerns about maintaining its dominance. And the offense? It had been stuck in a state of flux, desperately trying to recapture the explosiveness it had once flashed with Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott in their prime. But just like that, just with this one move, everything changed. George Pickens isn't just a piece to the puzzle. He's the spark, the catalyst, the kind of player who doesn't just change games, he changes attitudes. At only 23 years old, Pickens brings a potent mix of youth, confidence, and capability. He's physical, emotional, and dynamic. He has the kind of swagger that lights up a stadium, the kind of deep threat ability that can flip the momentum in a single play. Dallas hasn't seen a receiver with this kind of edge since the days of Dez Bryant, and maybe, just maybe, Pickens might even outshine Dez when all is said and done. The comparisons are already being made. His leaping ability? Elite. His footwork? Impossibly quick for a man standing 6'3". His attitude? That rare it factor that separates good players from legends. And now he's here in Dallas, paired with one of the league's top wideouts in CeeDee Lamb. Together, they form a 1-2 punch that could very well be the most dangerous in the NFC. The road to this trade, however, wasn't straightforward. In fact, for the longest time, George Pickens wasn't even believed to be on the trade block. The Steelers were rumored to be open to moving some pieces to fix their offensive line and settle their quarterback situation, But Pickens? Most assumed he was untouchable. That's what made this move even more shocking. Quietly, patiently, and without drawing attention, the Cowboys had been monitoring the situation for months. They had noticed tension brewing between Pickens and Pittsburgh's coaching staff, frustration over play calling, outbursts on the sidelines, moments of emotional disconnection. And rather than wait for the situation to explode, they pounced. Sources close to the team now confirm that Dallas engaged the Steelers in quiet, back-channel negotiations for weeks. There were no leaks, no rumors, no social media breadcrumbs. Just pure, calculated business. And when the deal finally got done, it was fast, clean, and thunderous. Dallas reportedly sent a high 2025 draft pick along with a depth defensive player to Pittsburgh in exchange for Pickens. A high price? Sure. But the potential upside? Absolutely massive. This isn't a rebuild. It's a reload. And George Pickens is the kind of talent that can carry an entire offensive identity on his back. Pair him with CeeDee Lamb, and you've got two nightmare matchups on either side of the field. Throw in Brandon Cooks working the slot, and suddenly this Cowboys receiving core becomes a three-headed monster capable of torching any secondary in the league. For defenses, it becomes a game of pick your poison. Double Lamb? Pickens goes off. Shade a safety over Pickens? Cooks runs wild underneath. The strategic possibilities are endless, and you better believe offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer is already drawing up new plays on the whiteboard with a big smile on his face. And we haven't even talked about what this means for Dak Prescott. The oft-criticized quarterback who's had more than his share of ups and downs suddenly finds himself in the driver's seat of an offensive Ferrari. Critics point to his interceptions last year, fair enough, but now imagine what Dak can do with weapons like this. Short throws become big gains. Third and long becomes manageable. Red zone trips become touchdowns. Even Stephen A. Smith, ever the Cowboys' antagonist, admitted, "You give Dak Prescott that kind of weaponry and I don't care how many interceptions he threw last season, this offense is going to put up points." And he's absolutely right. Beyond the X's and O's, though, this move brings something even more important: energy. George Pickens plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's fearless. He's fiery. He jaws with defenders, he fights for every yard, and he doesn't back down from anything. He brings the kind of attitude that infects an entire locker room. The kind of swagger that hasn't been seen in Dallas since the prime days of the '88 club. Cowboys insiders are buzzing. One anonymous source reportedly said, "We knew we had to do something big. Not just because the fans wanted it, but because we needed to send a message. This isn't a rebuild. This is a reload. We want to win now, and George Pickens helps us do that." The locker room reaction has been equally enthusiastic. CeeDee Lamb, already emerging as one of the most respected leaders on the team, reportedly called Pickens minutes after the deal broke, welcoming him to the team and immediately diving into discussions about chemistry and routes. Dak Prescott has expressed excitement as well, calling Pickens a rare talent and the kind of guy who can turn a 5-yard slant into a 50-yard touchdown. For a quarterback looking to prove he's worth a long-term deal, that's a game changer. Strategically, this move opens up an entirely new offensive playbook. Schottenheimer can now mix and match personnel in ways that were never available last season. 3 receiver sets become the new norm. Defenses will have to choose which nightmare they want to defend: Lamb's route precision, Pickens' deep threat, or Cook's speed and agility underneath. Expect more vertical passing, more play-action shots, more pre-snap motion, and more points on the board. But let's be honest, this isn't a risk-free move. George Pickens, as electrifying as he is, comes with some baggage. He's had moments of frustration. He's shown signs of volatility. There have been times when his emotions have boiled over on the sidelines. But Dallas isn't walking into this blindly. They're banking on their culture. They're betting on leaders like Zach Martin, Micah Parsons, and DeMarcus Lawrence to provide structure and accountability. This is a locker room that's growing tighter, more mature, and more focused. And they believe they can help Pickens channel his fire the right way. As for Jerry Jones, he's been unusually quiet through all of this. No dramatic quotes. No press conferences. No victory lap. And that silence might be the loudest part of all. This was a calculated decision. A masterclass in stealth management. While the rest of the league gossiped, while the media speculated, Dallas was working. And now they've emerged with a move that could tilt the NFC landscape. Fans are reacting just how you'd expect. Social media exploded within minutes. Hashtags like Welcome Pickens and Cowboys Strike trended nationwide. Team stores couldn't keep Pickens jerseys in stock. Fan forums lit up with playoff predictions, Super Bowl scenarios, and highlight reel fantasies. This wasn't just a trade, it was an energy shift. And that's something money can't buy. Even former players are chiming in. Des Bryant simply tweeted, "Y'all ain't ready for what's coming." Michael Irvin called it a gangster move. And Troy Aikman, speaking during a recent interview, remarked, "This is the kind of move that signals the Cowboys are tired of being close. They want to finish." From a long-term perspective, the deal also makes tremendous sense. Pickens is still on a rookie contract, giving the Cowboys financial flexibility. That means more money to potentially lock up CeeDee Lamb long-term, maybe even extend Dak if he plays well, and keep the core defensive stars in place. The window isn't just open, it's been kicked wide open. And the front office knows it. So here we are. The Dallas Cowboys, long criticized for being loud, flashy, and sometimes unfocused, just made their most powerful move in years and did it without making a sound. No drama. No circus. Just results. George Pickens is a Dallas Cowboy. And everything has changed. If you're as fired up as we are, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed. Because if this is just the beginning, Cowboys Nation, buckle up. The ride's about to get wild.